Labour has created an economic disaster. Today, unemployment has risen to 5%. We've had 13 consecutive months of rising unemployment. In the last 2 months, 64,000 people have lost their jobs. 180,000 people have lost their jobs in the last year. It's the highest and fastest rate of unemployment since COVID. Back then, we had a health pandemic to blame. Now, we just have a pandemic of incompetence from this Labour government. You can see here the unemployment figures under Labour versus those under the Tories. Wage growth is the lowest since April 2022, which was also during COVID, I believe, unless, of course, you work in Labour's beloved public sector. So the private sector saw wage increases of just 4.2% between July and September. The public sector saw 6.6% wage growth. Take London Underground staff, for example. Their wages grew by 8.9%, so they can stand by and watch fare dodgers jump the barriers.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Nearly 1 in 25 people using London's public transport aren't paying for it.
Of course, they can just not clean graffiti off the carriages.
Welcome to the Bakerloo line, where over the last year, 2 years, every single carriage seems to have been just absolutely covered in graffiti. So we're out.
This is people's lives we're talking about, all right? The highest unemployment rate is amongst men. And it's worth noting as well, when you look at that graph, that suicide is the single biggest killer of men under the age of 50 in the UK. Now let that sink in. More men die from taking their own lives under the age of 50 than from any illness or disease. And I have no doubt that unemployment plays a huge role in that. Rachel Reeves is already responsible for the highest tax rising budget on record. Look at that, right at the very top there. Now, I was very critical of Rishi Sunak, but I tell you what, he was right about this, wasn't he?
No, this is important. Mark my words. Labour will raise your taxes. It's in their DNA. Your work, your car, your pension.
Thank you. OK,
you name it,
sorry,
Labour will tax it.
Yep. Remember when Rachel Reeves did this?
We will increase the rates of employers' national insurance by 1.2 percentage points to 15% from April 2025.
She hiked national insurance for employers. She did that, and now we have the results. People are losing their livelihoods. And look at the very latest opinion polls. 57% of the British public are now in favour of cutting taxes, even if that means less spending on public services. Starmer now has a net approval rating of -45, which is the lowest since records began. 40% of people blame this Labour government for our economic mess. Just 14%, 1/4, blame the Tories. And 66% of people think Rachel Reeves should resign if she raises income tax. These unemployment figures mean that we now have fewer people paying more tax to subsidise more people. And what is Labour's response to that? Scrapping the 2-child benefit cap entirely. Sir Keir Starmer even hinted at it today.
Involve getting rid of the 2-child benefit.
You won't have to wait much longer, but I wouldn't be telling you that we're going to drive down child poverty if I wasn't clear that we will be taking a number of measures in order to do so.
Did you know that nearly 17% of all people on universal credit benefits are foreign nationals? This Labour government is seemingly about to make it so that you have to pay them so that those people can have as many children as they want. And also, as well, just a line that came to, which is apparently today it was revealed that we now have a record 4 million people on benefits in this country, on universal credit. It's remarkable, isn't it? We are in catastrophic territory.
Big tech has turned your phone into a surveillance device, harvesting your data, tracking your location, and selling your information to corporations. Unplugged built the iPhone to fight back. It's the only smartphone with hardware-level privacy protection, completely blocking data harvesting at the source. It features a physical kill switch that cuts power instantly when you want to go dark, giving you control big tech took away. Unplugged puts privacy and sovereignty first. The iPhone is built to British standards, designed to keep your data in your hands with independent servers, its own app center, and no corporate gatekeepers. You can access what you choose. No censorship, no app bans, just freedom. Everyone else is playing by big tech's rules. Unplugged rewrote them. The Upphone runs on an operating system with 0 backdoors and a firewall that blocks thousands of tracking attempts every single day. The Upphone includes a host of unique security features. The device can be set to have its memory wiped regularly, and if someone demands your PIN code, well, you can give them a false PIN that will wipe the device. It's called emergency reset. Privacy isn't a feature with Unplugged, it is the foundation. To get yours today, click the link in the description now.
Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got GB News contributor Will Kingston, we've got Tory MP Esther McVeigh and journalist Jonathan Liss. Well, look, loads going on tonight. Obviously, I've got that breaking news about leadership challenges to Sir Keir Starmer, which we'll come on to in a bit. But, actually, can I start with you on this? So when it comes to the unemployment rate and how devastating this is, what do you make of some of those figures that we heard there?
Oh, they're devastating. So you've got 8 million people on out-of-work benefits, of which 50%, that's 4 million, don't have to even look for work. Yeah. It has absolutely gone off the Richter scale. You talked about how many people are now no longer on the payroll. 32,000 fewer this month, 32,000 fewer the month before, something like 180,000 since the last budget. No, Rachel Reeves has taken a sledgehammer to the economy, and when she taxed jobs, whatever you tax, you have less of, and she did absolutely that to jobs. She put businesses under pressure. She's knocked the confidence, and also with their employment rights bill, they're all in a sort of a hiatus at the moment. They don't want to do anything. So she is squeezing all those who are working more and more and more to give to people who aren't working and will never at this rate work. And you've got 1 million young people not in work or education, and that is a disaster as well.
Now, of course, the Conservatives can't get off with a free pass here. They made it very easy not to work during their time in office.
I'm going to stop you right there. Having been the Secretary of State of DWP, I'll tell you what did happen, right? We got employment to record high levels. We actually got 1,000 more people into work each and every day. Where it went wrong, and I will tell you this, is during lockdown. Until then, we didn't. We got employment at record rates. So that's so you've got your facts right.
OK, well, as I said, I think we believe that lockdowns went on for far too long during the United Kingdom, and that was under the Conservative government. That's not the point of the exercise. The fundamental point here is that we are going broke as a country, and therefore we need to reduce spending dramatically. At the same time, not enough British citizens are having children. So there is this balancing act that needs to be done here. But there are smarter things you can do than, say, scrapping the 2-child benefit cap. Patrick, I've told you before on the show about innovative ways like, for example, reducing income tax rates for the more kids you have, like, for example, Hungary. We need to think more strategically if we want to grow the economy as opposed to just spend.
So Rachel Reeves has seen in the last 2 months 64,000 people, I think, lose their jobs, 180,000 in the year to October. How does she sleep at night?
Well, look, it's not for me to speculate on how she sleeps at night, but what I can tell you is that, and I told your colleagues this at the time as well, is that Labour made a catastrophic blunder at the time of the election by ruling out some of the easiest ways to make money, which were income tax, national insurance and VAT. And by ruling those out, and by claiming that they could only raise money by VAT on school fees, and they didn't need to raise taxes by any other means.
Non-doms.
And non-doms, fine. That was very foolish because it took people for fools, and also it was, if they had been honest with people and said we need to raise money because the country has been left in a shambles after 14 years of Conservative misrule, people would still have voted for them. But now the problem is that we have is that they do need to raise money. So of course they need to raise taxes.
Okay. There's two sides to a balance sheet, Jonathan. You can either raise money through taxes or you can cut spending. But we both know that the Labor Party can't cut spending because their party won't let them do so. And there's so much low-hanging fruit. You just
talked about... It's not just the party, though, because no one wants austerity. How popular do you think austerity is?
Can I just say, raising taxes on anyone, even if they are earning a bit more money, is still austerity.
Yeah. Well, that is not a view that is shared by most people.
Well, because I'm sorry, it's not a view shared by most people on the left, because most people on the left
it's not a view that's shared by most people in general.
Whatsoever. It is still austerity. asking someone seriously, it is, and the combination here of expecting people who are starting out and have just started to maybe do slightly well for themselves, and gaslighting people by saying if you earn 46 grand a year, is it, or 56 grand a year, you're rich now, you're rich. But we are now going to be paying to subsidise people, many of whom will not have been born in the UK, to have as many kids as they want, Esther, by the looks of things.
So this is a massive mistake, getting rid of this two-child cap. And just so people know, child benefit goes to every child, all of your children. It is just the tax credit element in universal credit which will be stopped after 2 children, which, by the way, only came in with Gordon Brown in 2003. And this is the bit that the Conservatives stopped, because they said, why? Because most families only have 2 kids or less. The number of kids people have now is 1.45. So there was a fairness. Who gets the money? Well, we'll stop benefits at that rate as well for the tax credit. So there was a fairness there. Also, if you have more children, it's not just about benefits. You then give them the house. They again get prescriptions. They get so many other things. The bill will go absolutely off the Richter scale. And it is wrong to be saying to people who are working, you're not having any more children, but if you're on benefits, we're going to pay for absolutely
the fundamental point.
So it's wrong.
The fundamental point that I often have with people on the right is that you may have legitimate concerns about people who are irresponsible, feckless is the word that Thatcher used to use, and having children when they can't afford them. But that is not the fault of the child. I think the one thing that we can all agree on is that children are not to blame for anything. No. And that if you are basically
but it's the parents who will choose to have one.
But that's not the point, though.
Can I also say, and again, this is lost in the mix, although you say it's going to stop at 2 children, actually, should there be multiple births, it would be more than that. If the child's disabled, you'll still be getting universal credit. There's so many exemptions within this as well. So there is a fairness and a kindness within this benefit, but absolutely no, you shouldn't. Labour's borrowing 190 billion a year.
Even reform support's getting rid of the two-child.
Only for British citizens. Only for British citizens.
And a mistake
which
as
is
well
a key
by
difference.
reform.
And that's what I don't understand. Why can't you just say the welfare system is for British citizens more generally?
Well, because I don't think that foreign children should deserve to live in poverty either. Or foreign-born children either.
Labour couldn't get 5 billion past its backbenchers. They're not going to do this, and it is a major mistake, and they're destroying the country.
There is huge pressure on Sir Keir Starmer. And by the way, this budget that we're talking about here and the economic and employment mess that we find ourselves in is the thing that could tip him over the edge. That breaking news this evening is that there is an open revolt going on in the Labour Party, which appears to be that multiple different cabinet ministers are considering ousting Sir Keir Starmer the second that Rachel Reeves delivers that budget.